Feel incredible!
It's not a cartoon, it's anime!
Yeah!
Brennan trashing his room.
Welcome to another episode. Oh, the Animeshun. You know what's funny? How Brennan hated the power up when we first started doing it. He'd take his headphones off. Hi, my ears. Now he's all into it. So
and now he hates when I say that we're the greatest fucking anime podcast in the entire world.
And I figure at some point he's going to love that when there's a new thing that comes on and there's a new thing that he hates, he's going to love the greatest fucking anime podcast and then hate that new thing. That's what I...
We just need to find a new thing that he hates. Absolutely.
He just moves on progressively.
Hey guys, how you guys doing today? Everybody
okay? Good, man.
Make sure you always go check out our YouTube page when we talk about when we do the podcast. Man, don't just watch it on streaming the podcast platform. Watch it on YouTube. You can see our faces and tap into our beautiful voices.
And see my power-ups.
You get to see Brendan's hilarious power-ups.
Crazy power-ups.
Today he took off his shirt with his mediocre body.
That shit mediocre is being nice.
Dad bod with no children.
Let's go. I'm here for it.
He called his body mediocre.
So you know what we do on Animeshun podcast? We do one-off, we do debates, we talk our shit. We go at it, man. That's what we do out here. This week, it's your boy's pick. That's right. It's my pick. Keenan Baker's pick this week. And I had another anime chosen up, but it's not finished yet. So we're gonna go with the God of High School. That's what we're doing with this week. We're going with the God of High School. Is a Crunchyroll original, I believe. And that's why I picked it.
They're starting to make their own content.
Yeah, they got a few. They got a few out already. They got a few anime out. Absolutely. And I feel like they keep their styles the same from what I've seen too. But yeah, this is my pick this week. God of High School. I think it's about 12 episodes long. I think
13.
13. So it's going to be a short one for us, to be honest. But Brennan,
what's up?
Do you want to hit us with some actual factuals and some factual actuals?
First, I'd like
actuals.
So first, I'd like to actually gently drop a gauntlet and let everybody know that I have challenged Rob Fonda at Mario Kart. He believes he sits on his throne as some kind of god of this game, and he's been whooping on people, and he thinks he'd be winning. And I just before we started the podcast. Hold on a second. I have given him his credit before. He has definitely beat me before. But I just we were having before this podcast today. We were just having a conversation that men were just having, and I just didn't like the way he was. I didn't like the way he was talking. I didn't like the tones of how he just knew that he was the best or he was going to win. I didn't like any of this.
He didn't say any of that, to be honest.
I don't care. I didn't like the way. I don't like the way.
I gotta agree with Brennan. Rob did have that air about him.
Thank you. I didn't like this air that this man had about him of just understanding that he's the best. And I'm just no, Rob, this is not overstood. This is not just a fact.
But I appreciate it.
If you can see Rob, if you can see Rob's face,
if you can see
Rob does not look worried even a little bit right now.
He's not.
But that's okay.
He has that anime villain look on his face, like, fam.
Well,
that's all you got.
I'll do the glasses push up.
Two things I didn't like. Right, two things I didn't like about what just happened. One, Brennan he's acting like he doesn't do the same exact shit with Smash Brothers.
That's fine.
That's so true.
And this is the reaction I hope for. This is what I want people to do.
Second, the fact that he just dismissed me from that conversation, like I wasn't in that conversation, like I'm ready to play. He did. And he's just like, I challenged Rob.
Keenan,
I'm like, bitch,
Keenan, you're not
here.
You're not a factor, bro.
And I'm good.
Oh my God.
I'm not bad. I'm good.
Look, guys. So just so you guys know,
you sounded like you're number two in this situation, and you're talking like you're number one.
But Brennan ain't number one, so it don't matter.
You sound like Krillin. You sound like
talking like he number like.
I'm like Krillin and Yamcha
right now.
I am number two right now.
But you're talking like
I'm Vegeta. I'm Vegeta right now. It's like I'm probably not going to win.
You calling me Yamcha, bitch?
Yeah.
You calling me Yamcha?
You're not going to win. You're not going to win anything.
But Yamcha's not third though. God damn.
Yeah, I mean, but third in this case is last. Because are you playing Ice?
I am not. I don't have a
Okay,
Switch,
so like I said, third is last. He's Yamcha, last. So like I was saying,
Yikes.
I'm running the Mario Kart fade on this motherfucker, man.
Yeah, you do whatever you got to do. So I'm dropping the gauntlet on Rob and saying that, hey, we're going to play, we're going to record it, and then we're going to post how he no longer has a confidence in the smug face, that little shaved smug face that he has right there, that I am not about this life. I refuse to listen to that blasphemy.
That makes him look in his mid-20s at the oldest.
So, I'm done with this dude right now. So he going to catch these hands.
I don't like the look because he don't got his beard right now. His face is just like, that's why I don't like the look he has on his face. But it's not because of his actual, like, if he had a beard, it'd be a regular face.
If I didn't know Rob, I would think that he wasn't too fond of all of us. Honestly, how he was looking throughout that whole now through that whole segment, he was like, bro, like, the fuck are these guys talking about? Like, none of them stand a chance.
I'm just letting people squabble over that number 2 headband, man. I'm just sitting up here with the number 1. Just waiting for somebody to come along and challenge me.
Now you understand why I had to say what I had to say. So
are we playing best out of 5? Or what are we doing? Best out of 3?
We'll just play a Grand Prix.
Okay.
Yeah, play a Grand Prix on 150cc and you can catch these hands.
All right. 200.
No, not 200. No, not 200.
Shit, even I go, 200. That's
exactly.
a lot. That's a lot of CCs.
Rainbow Road on 200cc? Oh, okay.
You would never finish that motherfucker.
No.
Off the road.
All right, so back to my factual actuals. I looked into the God of High School and found some pretty interesting things. First of all, this came out originally in July 6th of 2020, so this is an extremely new anime that ended on September 28th, so we are getting right in the end of that. Came out in the midst of a pandemic, yet still gained popularity pretty intensely. A lot of people watch it, partially because you are correct, Keenan. This was produced by Crunchyroll, which you can see the in-game or in-show advertising for Crunchyroll that is actually the advertising on the stage of the tournament, which I thought was just brilliant. Yeah. I love that. I'm like, as a person creating content on intellectual property, I look forward to seeing my company's name in the content as well, which already is if you look for the right Easter eggs and the things that we've been making. So that's always super dope. This actually is a Korean, a Korean person actually wrote the original manga, but it's not called manga. It's called manhwa. I probably pronounced that incorrectly. It's M as in man, ANHWA. And it's the Korean term for comics and print cartoons. Outside of Korea, the term refers to South Korean comics, although the comics industry is emerging in North Korea as well. So this is specifically... I guess
that's the only option they got is to make comics.
Yeah, state-issued comic books.
It's like, no, you like this.
Yeah, I sure do.
So this is a South Korean manga comic book manhwa. That's what it is. The studio that made this actually was established in 2011 by a guy named Masao Maruyama. Maruyama. But this guy is an interesting guy. I actually fell into a rabbit hole about this particular man. He's won some Lifetime Achievement Awards for anime. He has 7-8 years for anime, manga, and the anime the world specifically, because he's actually one of the co-founders of Madhouse. And we all know who Madhouse is. One of the biggest anime houses or studios there is. Yep. And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. So he left them, even though he was a founder over there, to start this here. So I looked into him a little bit and found out that he had won a bunch of, like I said, Lifetime Achievement Awards. The first person to ever receive a specific type of Lifetime Achievement Award for anime. So like this guy's been in it forever. 40 plus years in the game, worked on some of the biggest. He was the guy at Madhouse that would green light or red light projects. Like he's the person you pitch to if you had something you wrote. Like he was like A1 boss. Like, so the reason we know Madhouse is a big reason is this guy. And so he created this other anime studio in 2011. And I was like, all right, cool. That's awesome. And then I was like, kept looking and I was like, wait, but he also left MAPPA in 2016 and founded another studio called M2. So he was... so he founded Madhouse, then he founded MAPPA, and then he founded, M2, which makes me think a couple things. Number one, he's probably super difficult to work with, or just like has no patience for human beings. It's something with people. I guarantee it. Like he either negotiates himself into a corner where he's just like, I don't like my terms. Let's renegotiate. Like, bro, you brought us the terms from the beginning. You're a founder. You know, he's like, well, fuck it. I could just do this again. I've already done it before. And then goes off and does it again. Or he just is just like, hey, I've done everything I can do.
Shit.
Yeah, or I've done everything I can do here. You guys are established in this area. I want to try something new. I'm going to go in a new direction. I actually don't know. Because if you look at MAPPA's content palette, you'll see that it's a little bit all over the place. And some of these anime are actually super famous, even to me, even though I didn't know the names of them. But I saw a lot of the clips from the shows, me just surfing YouTube and surfing Instagram. I actually watched a few of the trailers of these shows because I had recognized them when I was going through this and I was like, yo, these are now added to my list of anime that I'm going to start watching. Let me throw some names out.
Okay.
So first off, which is one I always like to throw out, which is like everybody in the world worked on this, but Yuri on Ice, Rage of Bahamut, Genesis, I'm going to watch that. Punchline, I'm going to watch that. Inu Shiki, or whatever. It looks like Inuyasha, but it ends with an I. I'm gonna watch that.
Okay.
Dororo, Dororo, which is something I've definitely seen clips from that, and Jujutsu Kaisen. Those two right there, those last two, I've seen major fights from that. And if you guys don't know which one I'm talking about, with Jujutsu Kaisen, you probably seen a clip
this week. That's what people I picked.
That's what I've been watching too.
Yeah, that's the one with the finger, like the demon finger that the guy eats and then becomes like super powerful or whatever. I don't know anything about the show. I've just seen that scene where he eats the demon finger and then lays the hands upon everybody. And I was just like, okay, this show looks interesting. And I didn't know what it was.
What's the other one?
Dororo, D-O-R-O-R, Dororo.
Somebody recommended that also in the group.
It looks so good.
The CGI one?
No, it's not CGI. It's anime. I believe that one's actually on Amazon Prime. That was actually made.
I thought you said Doro Head Doro.
No, just Dororo. It's one word. D-O-R-O-R-O.
I know Doro Head Doro, and that shit is hard. I like that one.
I don't know that one. So, but yeah, those last three I said, Yashiki, Doro, and Jujutsu Kaisen, one of those might be my next pick. Just by watching the trailers and reading a little bit about each one of them, I'm like, this production company is making some serious shit, but they're also making some stuff that's like fuzzy, like Hello Kitty shit, you know, where it's just like, I would never watch this, like ever, kind of thing. Like even if one of y'all picked it, I'd be like, that's so crazy. I'm sick for the next few weeks. I'm not watching it. But either way,
you've done. This is.
Yeah,
you've had some stints.
So go ahead, spend your dollars, man.
What'd you say? No, yeah.
This man sound like the fucking Leora Cohen of fucking anime.
He's out here, bro.
Just making different businesses.
So the guy who wrote the manhwa, aka manga, aka comic, is a guy named Youngji Park, and he's obviously Korean. And this is his first manga, but this manga actually came out in 2011 and is still going. So it's very popular. It's like they're selling quite well all over the world. The director is a guy named Sung-Hoo Park, and he's worked on many, many shows in the anime department, from Fairy Tail. He's an animation director. Ghost in the Shell, Arise. He's the key animator. Unfortunately, Inuyasha, the final act. I'm happy he just finished that shit off because it needed to end. He's the key animation department there. Mobile Suit Gundam, Fundamental AGE. He's a key animator. And then Pokemon Generations, key animator. But he also directed, hear this, Jujutsu Kaisen. And Gary the Vanishing Line and God of High School. Those are the three that were on his not IMDb, like the anime fan.
He a dog for real.
So all three of those are actually, as far as I can tell, the animation at least is really good on all of them. I haven't seen any of them. I've seen this whole show, obviously. The writer for this particular anime is a woman named Kyoku Yoshimura. And she wrote, at first when I was reading her bio and stuff, I was really excited. I was like, she wrote the original story for Sonic the Hedgehog? And I was like, yo, click the link. And I was just like, oh, no. She wrote the storyline for Sonic the Hedgehog, which is the name of the video game, but it was the Xbox 360 version. So... the trash.
That was so underwhelming.
Such a letdown.
I wrote Dragon Ball. What? Evolution. Oh, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, exactly. So,
what a letdown.
Rob, can you answer this real quick? When, obviously there's base material, or Brennan, when there's base material, obviously from the manga or manhwa, whatever it is called, but they still brought a writer in to do the anime. Why do they usually do that? If there's already the base material there, why would they bring another writer in?
Rob?
Oh, I was going to say, when they adapt something, sometimes it's just like, sometimes they'll bring in the original writer to work on something if they know what they're doing, if they have experience in writing like screenplays or something like that. But sometimes like writing a book isn't the same as writing a script. So sometimes they'll bring in somebody who's got a little bit more experience that can like help them, guide them through the process. Usually you'll still see, that writer involved as like a producer or something like that, if they're on good terms with the studio. if they're happy with the deal and all that. So they're at least like, you know, they can have a finger on their project. But yeah, no, it's not super uncommon. Like J.K. Rowling didn't write any of the scripts for Harry Potter, right? Like any of those movies. But she was involved. So it's a similar thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so like what Rob's saying is like the big thing is it's just like it's a different format. And a lot of the shit that you can do in comic books, you can't do in anime. You know, it's just like we spent this whole, like there's a whole volume set aside for this love story or some shit. Like, okay, so we're just going to ignore that. Like making those kind of tough decisions, like what makes it in, what doesn't, what works in anime versus what works in comic books. Like there's just different plot progressions and different storylines, different speed.
Yeah, pacing.
The pacing is completely different of how it has to be written and how it has to be put together. So just somebody has to pretty much rewrite the whole thing and just take the baseline ideas and the baseline plot and then just like refill it back in. But those conclude my factual actuals. How'd I do, guys?
You did pretty good, Brendan.
That was pretty good.
You did
I learned some things.
What is up? All right, man.
Oh, man.
So this week we're watching God of High School episodes 1 through 4. And Rob, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, I'll take us through what we saw in the episode. We start off on a remote island as a few businessman types are relaxing on a beach trying to shake down some young upstart with high political aspirations, this guy named Park Mujin. He's going to come up a lot. They're celebrating that they have this guy blackmailed with some fake controversies and they're about to come into a ton of money when all of a sudden this huge storm comes in and their smiles just fade away. Elsewhere, Park is calmly consulting with one of his associates, this woman with blue hair, making sure that all their plans are in order. She assures him, you know, hey, we're good. And we see why he isn't so worried because they cut back to the island where the businessmen called him from and it's been completely flattened out and crushed in like the shape of an enormous hand. Next, we see this young boy with kind of like star-like pupils almost, named Mori. He's dropped off in Seoul, South Korea. He doesn't want to leave his grandfather, but the older man is telling him, hey, this is your opportunity to learn and make friends. And Mori promises he's going to do just that. And we zoom forward to the present where he's waking up late on the day of his registration for the God of High School Martial Arts Tournament, which is this nationwide tournament to find the strongest high schooler, and the winner gets a single wish granted, which, you know, very reminiscent of like the Tournament of Power. People all over are excited for it, watching commercials for it. We meet a couple other characters as well. This guy, Han, a hardworking teen saving cash to help a sick friend, and Mira, a nerdy looking girl with like this wooden sword who just loves muscles and muscle-bound men. On his way to the stadium, Mori passes this old woman with a purse who's stolen. And he sees in a flash, I'm not sure if this is like a power he has, but he sees in like a flash that like she needs her money to help her sick grandchildren. And he's like, you know, he has to get involved. So
I think he made it up to
motivate himself. Is this like a Jordan, like, and that's when I took it personal kind of thing? Like he just made up some story that didn't really happen. But he chases after this dude. This guy's on a motorcycle and he's catching up to him on his bike. As he's chasing this dude, bike. Right, yeah. But he accidentally runs into Mira, like physically, like hits her, front like tire out of the face.
He fucked her up.
Yeah,
and then he
breaks
like,
her glasses.
So sorry.
I gotta go. But she's mad and she catches him and like she's beating him up, but you know he tells her the story, you know, that maybe he made up, and she can't help but, you know, get involved too. She has to jump on. So they manage to catch up to the thief again, but just as Mira is like about to jump in for the takedown, she slams her face into a road sign, leaving her face imprinted on it. That made me laugh. And it seems like the thief is going to get away, but Han steps up in the middle of the road and just decks that dude right off his motorcycle, like full on clotheslines this guy. And from there, we flash forward to the stadium where all three of them kind of wait together in the locker room before the prelim fight. You know, they're introducing themselves. We learn a little bit more about the tournament. You know, weapons are allowed. You have to knock your opponent out or get them out of the ring for 20 seconds. On top of that, contestants are all injected with these nanobots that will heal their wounds and track their vitals. And they all have like these little wrist bracelets to kind of tell them their level and HP and GP. I don't know how all that works. It's a little unclear. But yeah, they score, you know, they get into the fight and the guy tells them like, hey, you got to score high in this prelim fight to get to the regional tournament. And the winner of that will go on to this national championship. So, you know, fight to get into the bracket, and that bracket will get you to the larger bracket. It takes a bit for the free-for-all to get started. You know, everybody's kind of looking around at each other, but when it does, man, these characters when they get into it, they go hard, and you know, our crew on the other hand is like making pretty quick work of them. You know, we see a couple other people too. You know that classic anime thing. You pan around the crowd, you're like, they put too much work into that person's character design for them to not come back up later.
Even more than the main characters. We'll get to that later.
But all these characters are taking out the rank and file while the judges are watching, including the blue-haired woman from the opening. And they're all talking about the different prospects they found. But old blue hair, she's got a trick up her sleeve. She's got some kid that she found named Mansiak from a reform school. And he comes in with his arms like all bound up, like in a straitjacket and a security escort, and making a late entry. He joins the fight, taking out the trash with the rest of them, but he and Mira end up clashing, and it seems kind of evenly matched until Mori gets involved, pulling down Mansiak's pants for some reason and drawing his attention. And they get to fighting a little bit, and we see Mori is fast and no pushover as they fight, and the first episode ends. Next episode, we start actually somewhere else in the Pentagon, as the American government is kind of discussing what happened with this island. And, it was smashed by this guy, Park Mujin. And they're about to be like, somebody's here. There's an intruder. Like, we got to get the president out of here. When the intruder just walks right in. And sure enough, it's Park Mujin himself, as he wants to talk with the American president a little bit. Kind of had like a Tony Stark look to him. I don't know if you guys got that same vibe. Yeah. He was just like this. I don't know if this guy seems a little young to be the president, but maybe that's just recency bias. We come back. And we come back to this. I mean, our presidents are fucking old.
Fucking presidents.
Old men.
70. What Joe Biden's 78? Yeah. God damn.
Oh,
he gonna make it 2 terms.
Hey, we got Kamala.
He just needs one. He's just got to make one, man.
No help. No, just fuck Joe at this point. We got Kamala. She'll be fine.
She'll be fine. But we come back to the tournament. It's sometime later. The fighters are healing up and the bracket's all set. And as the main 3 are heading home, they realize that, they all take the same route home. And we see in a quick flashback that Mira actually took out Mori, like broke his neck as he squared off with Mansiak. But these nanobots were able to heal him. So these nanobots are no joke. They can heal up like pretty serious injuries. As they walk, they discuss why they all joined the tournament. Mori wants to fight stronger and stronger people. Very much a Goku vibe there. Like I said, Han has a sick friend that he's trying to get money to help get him the treatment he needs. And Mira, on the other hand, wants to revive and bring honor back to her family's sword dojo. It's super important to her. And Mori grabs her sword and is kind of messing around with it and drops it like right off the edge of the bridge they're working on. And Mira just slaps him and is like, fuck off. Like tells him to get the fuck out of there. And while she's searching for it, she's thinking about how hard she worked and like all she sacrificed to preserve the sword style, and her father's last wish. And when she searches, Mori and Han return to help her look. They bring some lights and, they bury the hatchet and, their friendship grows. The next day at the tourney, there are some sparks in the locker room early on as a fight nearly breaks up between Mori and Mansiak. But this Tai Chi fighter named Gogamdo steps in the middle, and says, hey, like, let's all keep this to the ring. But the next, we see the first round of fights as the main characters, take out their first round matchups with no problem, like at all, like just real quick montage to see these all go by. But we also see a couple other fighters that'll come back later, like this nerdy dude with a bat and this book that he's reading out of, and this busty chick with some wrestling moves and bubble gum.
What was the dude from One Punch Man with the bat? What was his name?
I don't remember.
That reminded me of him.
He reminded me of the person from, if you ever seen The Raid 2.
Oh, yeah.
There's a guy with
he
a
didn't
bat.
remind me of him, but he had the skills of him. But he didn't necessarily remind me of the look-wise.
Well, he didn't remind me,
Raid
not
2,
his demeanor, but like the way he used the bat.
He was a beast with the bat, yeah. Watch the Raid 2.
He was.
Yeah.
So after we get through these easy matches, we get the one that was built up in the locker room. Gogamdo is matched up against Mansiak, and obviously they've got some bad blood through what happened that morning. Gogamdo rushes out to an early lead, in Mansiak not even using his arms. But that quickly changes, as does the tide of battle. Mansiak neutralizes this dude's Tai Chi techniques and just starts beating the absolute fucking brakes off of him. Telling him, like,
Kato style, baby.
Yeah. Dropped a Kato on him. He's telling him, like, beg for mercy, then I'll stop beating your ass.
But his credit, he didn't.
Gogamdo, he didn't.
I would have been like, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me.
No, would you really? No,
Probably.
What?
If I'm already like completely disabled with broken limbs and shit, I'm just like, all right, well,
They're
fuck
gonna
it.
get fixed. Who cares?
Yeah.
Kill me.
You got the nanobots.
You've never have any of you guys ever been through major injuries and surgeries before?
Yeah.
Because I've done it 4 times and I'm no interest in ever doing it again. So yeah, I would apologize.
Saying, but you can be healed like that.
Yeah, I'm out of there.
My man, and how did it get healed like that? Where did he end up, Rob?
He had to take a nap. That dude was in like the Goku healing
milk.
chamber.
He was in the hyperbolic time chamber and shit.
He needs get him some potions.
Some potions, yeah. Yep.
This dude needs some potions. But yeah, because his arms are getting broken. Like Monsiak is breaking everything. But just as things are getting out of control, Mori steps in the ring and evens the fight a bit, kicking Monsiak into the stands. And the jumps are there, or the judges are there in a snap. Like they're right there, and they're just like, you broke the rules. But Monsiak isn't done. He channels some kind of dark energy that like this Mysterious gave him. We see some flashbacks, though it sounds like he wasn't strong enough to control it. But before the judges can really even do anything about it, like the dude with the green hair and glasses like draws like some Yu-Gi-Oh card or something like that. Mori like jumps off his head and like kicks this dude 3 times in like a flash. One of that thing where he hits you 3 times, but you don't even react to it till like the 4th hit, and just like sends him down to the mat. But the victory is short-lived because Mori is slammed to the ground by psychic powers by none other than Park Mujin, back from his trip to America, who enters the stadium and announces that Mori has to be punished for breaking the rules. So the next episode starts with the shadowy church, where we see some weird looking figures, including some of these guys that were in Monsiak's flashbacks, and their leaders giving them some ominous speech about the power of God and how he's on their side. And, they seem to have a good amount of followers. So I'm sure these guys will be coming back later. Back at the tournament, though, the judges are discussing what to do with Mori, especially since Gogando and Monsiak are both out of commission for the next round, either from physical or mental trauma from the last fight. But Park notices Mori's grandfather's name, Jin Taijin, and recognizes it and is just like, all right, well, we got to come up with a plan to keep this guy in. Next, though, we see Mira going up in her next fight against the wrestler girl from the early round. And turns out she's an American that came to South Korea to win the tournament. She wants to get this harem of husbands and men. That's her motivation. And she's got Mira on the ropes at first. Has no problem handling the wooden sword and disarms Mira. But Mira proves to be deadly without it and slashes her opponent with her bare hands, knocking her out and winning the match. But soon after that match, Park Mujin approaches Mori and tells him, your punishment is, you fight with one of these judges, the green-haired dude with the Yu-Gi-Oh deck. And if you win, then you can stay in the tournament. On top of that, he gives Mori a bunch of fruit that he tells him will make him stronger. But one of the judges, after he leaves, mentions that could kill him. But Park says, hey, this will prove if Mori's the real deal. That night, as Mori eats the fruit, he coughs up a bunch of blood and passes out. So we're kind of wondering whether or not he is or not. The next day, Han meets with his friend at the hospital, telling him, he's getting more work, more jobs, and more money to help out with his treatments. They seem pretty close. But later at work, a few bullies show up and give Han a hard time, saying your friend's going to die soon, blah, blah, blah. But, Han just walks away. He needs the job. He needs the money. He's got, more important things. But that's bad news for his opponent, the nerdy Batman, who, says he knows everything about Han from reading his little book or whatever. But much like Mira's match, Han's opponent gets out to an early lead, jabbing him with the bat like a ton of times in an instant. But Han shows his honor when his opponent falls down and he refuses to strike him, even helping him up. And with the match reset, Han's opponent gets the upper hand again. But Han, he's just, he's thinking about his friend, all his friend has fought through, and uses it as motivation to fight past the pain, summon more strength and speed, just pommeling his opponent and winning the match. Just lays a bunch of fists on this guy and he's done. And all the judges are just like, oh, okay, this guy's got potential. And finally, it's time for Mori's redemption match. But when the judge, waits for him in the ring, Mori's still at home, passed out, having some kind of vision from the fruit. And it seems like he's going to be forced to forfeit when suddenly he wakes up and appears in the ring ready to fight. Rules are established that Mori only has to knock his opponent over to win the match. But in a blink of an eye, Mori moves in, removes his opponent's glasses, and easily just pushes him over. And the match is over at that point. They declare Mori the winner, but the judge is furious for being made a fool of and attacks again. And Mori just turns around and kicks his ass again, in a second. And that's when the judge snaps and releases some sort of ultimate technique, some kind of ghostly form comes out of him.
And Kite, Hunter, with that big ass.
I don't know what that was.
Yeah. Like,
to me,
damn.
it gave me like Joker vibes from Persona 5 or Smash Brothers. Like the idea that like some ghost thing comes out of you. It looks like it might kill him. You know, he got like a sickle or something near his neck. But the other judges rush in and stop the match. You know, clearly Mori still has some learning to do, but Park Mujin is very impressed and lets him stay in the tournament thinking, you know, this is Taijin's Tiger Cup and, you know, I'm not going to let him get away. The next episode starts with them announcing the matchups for the final four of the tournament. Mori will go up against this Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighter named Bayon, while Mira and Han are going to face each other. And there's some trash talk going back and forth between them when all of a sudden a fancy car spots them and a purple-haired driver hops out and proposes to Mira right on the spot. We flash forward.
High school-year-old.
A high schooler. Yes. That cannot be glossed over. And it comes up quite a bit in this episode. Yeah, because
Korea is not, you know, immune to the pervertedness.
Clearly. The underageness of like, nah, bro, we like 16.
But they at least they acknowledge it in the show though. Like they acknowledge it. Like normally they don't even acknowledge it.
True.
Yeah, because everybody's, other than her little sister, who, like, clearly she must have agreed, because as we flash forward, Mira's, you know, talking with her little sister, picking out wedding dresses, and turns out this guy's, like, a wealthy celebrity named Song Jin, and Mira's accepted the proposal because he's promised to bring her family's sword style back to prominence. He's, like, an uber athlete, like, businessman, ultra rich, super connected, you know, mega famous.
Athletic Billy Mays or Willie Mays.
Yeah, something like that. And now he's marrying a high schooler. So everybody's a little bit like, what the fuck is going on? And she flashes back to when she was a kid. We see Mira at her father's funeral, and her uncle promises to continue teaching the sword style, but he sucks. He sucks.
He had this big ass dojo with all these kids that was ready to learn and keep the moon sword technique going. He was getting his ass handed to him.
It was great.
By these kids. They all walk out, and Mira's just like, at this point, it's up to me to carry on the legacy. My uncle can't hack it. The uncle meets with Song Jin, you know, basically to find out if he's legit. Like, what do you want with a high schooler? Considering who you are, you're a grown man. But Song Jin is just like, you know, you lack vision. You know, you couldn't make this sword style work, but I'm going to make this famous the world over. I'm going to make this an Olympic event. I'm going to bring like your family and fortune back to where it should be. And the uncle, like, for at least for now, seems to be satisfied with that. Mori also finds out about the marriage through the news and confronts Mira about it, you know, asking if this is worth leaving the tournament over. And Mira insists that it is, even if she doesn't really love him, Song Jin. Mori tries to get Han to help, but he's like, you know, listen, that's her business, not ours. That's what she wants to do. That's what she wants to do. At the wedding, Mira's uncle does kind of come to his senses, make one last plea to Song Jin, just like, please don't marry my niece. She is a high schooler. This is wrong. And she's a child. And Mira arrives in the middle of this and just like, no, this is my decision. I know what I'm doing. I'm doing it for the family and my father's wishes. And now even her sister's just like, this isn't right. She's crying, but it's too late to change it. And indeed, you know, it turns out that this is all wrong, because during the ceremony, Song Jin is thinking about how his bosses at that creepy church, which we find out he's connected to, told him to get his hands on Mira's sword, as well as gain her hand, because they think that she can wield some sort of sword that will basically allow them to control God, or something like that. So clearly there's more to Mira than even she knows about. And the sword style. So outside, Mori, fights off the security guards, and Han does eventually show up. They make their way inside and challenge Song Jin, who charges in with a sword, but Han just stops that thing with his bare hand, like catches that. Not even like the two-hand like clap technique, just like single-handedly stops that sword from coming down.
That reminds me of that story Keenan said about that dude that just got his fucking fingers sliced.
He had his sword out.
You're freaking dead, man!
He did not have God and anime on his side, unfortunately, that day.
Oh, wow.
No, that didn't work out in Keenan's story. But Mori uses this chance to talk more with Mira one last time, to reason with her that, you know, the tournament is the real way to bring back your family's sword style, not this marriage. And she thinks back on her father's memory and all the sacrifices she made to get to where she is and realizes that that's the truth. You know, the style must live on through her and her hard work. So she tries to break to Sung Jin gently, but he cracks and unleashes his own ghostly form, like what they saw the judge in the tournament do. But his is like this samurai thing. And the building starts just like crashing down around them. But Mira uses her unarmed sword style to quickly bring Sung Jin down with only like a minor wound to her stomach. And she thanks her friends for saving her, having her back. But Sung Jin manages to get the wooden sword from her, takes off in this car. I don't know how he got away from that situation, but he did. Money probably, paid off a few people. But luckily, she says she's not worried about it. She'll get a new one. But Han has some tough days ahead of him. His sick friend dies in the hospital. When he sees those bullies show back up, he beats them absolutely fucking senseless the second time around. And that wasn't enough to satisfy his anger. And when Mori shows up to the tournament to watch what should be a match between friends, between him and Mira, it's not what he expected. Instead, Han is punching and kicking her in her wound from the fight with Sung Jin. And the judge calls it off and stops the thing before Han takes it too far. He did. And as he leaves the arena, he tells Mori, I'll see you in the finals. And Mori just kind of looks on him with disgust as, this stretch of episodes comes to an end.
Yes, it's going down tonight. Tonight it goes down. I already seen, I think, the next 2 episodes because I got up to about 6 episodes before I ended up stopping. But
that was prior to watching this show for the podcast.
You said what?
Prior to watching this show from the podcast, or you was on your spoiler shit?
No. I watched the show. I started watching the show before we recommended it, and then
you good for doing that shit.
I mean, so what? If the episode is there, it's not necessarily a spoiler.
You be doing that shit.
Just don't bring that knowledge to the show. Just don't bring it
I
to the
didn't say anything.
podcast. No, you did.
It's going to be a very fun time. So this first question, man. Time to the question portion of the show. The first question is kind of a 2-parter. Combined Ice and myself's question together. Can you see a Gata High School tournament happening in real life? And if so, how would your high school do? That's the first part. And then the second part is, would you place in the tournament in your high school? Do you think you would place in the tournament in your high school? So go ahead, Ice, first.
First and foremost, I can definitely see America. Anything to put on TV to make money, capitalism at its finest. Definitely see America doing that. My high school would get fucking smoked. I didn't come from a powerhouse high school. I was lucky enough to have athletic success, but that was solely because they saw me against other schools that had that were powerhouses. But our school never got media attention for good reason. We only had a few select athletes. So our high school would get fucking smoked. We would get smoked. We just weren't a very overall athletic school, and we just had a lot of people that were obese. I think because I went not saying obesity leads to unathleticism, but I mean that's usually a prerequisite. So my junior and senior year, I went to school in Arizona, so I'm going off of that off of that school, and yeah, they just weren't. We get smoked out, and me specifically, I think I would do it within my specific high school. Yeah, I would whoop some major ass. I think when you start going outside of that, I think I would fare pretty good. But there's people, I just street fight my whole life. And I did martial arts at some point, but I'm not one of those dudes that have illusion of grandeur and just think they can whoop everybody's ass. So I think I would fare until I start dealing with people that really got a fighting background. I think that's when I'll be getting my ass whooped for real.
Yeah, I feel, but the 2 high schools I went to, they had, the first high school I went to, they were, I think, the best football team in Southern California. They had a really strong wrestling team also. Wow. And then the second high school I went to, our baseball team ended up winning the championship for Southern California. They ended up beating the number one team in the nation at the time, which is Chatsworth High School. So we had some athletes at our schools. We had some fighters. I've seen literally big fighting gang wars at multiple schools, both of those schools. So I think both schools I went to would do fairly well in the tournament. I'm not gonna sit there and say I'll place because I was just in high school. I'm not gonna sit there and act like I'm not a gangster like that. I will hold my own, but I was also 114 pounds tops my senior year in high school. I'm not just sitting there knocking motherfuckers out. Let's just be honest. But as I gotten older and anger set in is just different.
You say anger set in?
Well, I had a lot of anger build up in my life just because of stuff I've been through. But
grown man shit.
Yeah, but I'm not going to sit there and say that at that time. I would say just off weight, even if I'm getting some hits in, I'm going to get grabbed and thrown. And then that's going to probably be... You can put your ass up out of here, Keenan. And then I'm just on the fucking roof of the school somehow because I'm a featherweight.
That's the most disrespectful thing, I think, is just getting picked up. I got picked up in a fight before, and I've never been so disrespected in my life.
Knock me out.
That's a lot.
Just knock me out. I'll take a knockout instead of getting just picked up and like tossed like a fucking softball or some shit like that. But yeah. Rob?
Kind of like Ice. My high school didn't really get a lot of write-ups for athletics. We had a couple like star athletes here and there, but certainly not like, we didn't get a lot of ink. So no, I don't think our high school would do super well. We had a couple people, like there's a couple people that I think of like that come to mind where I'm like, I think maybe they could do it. Like we had one kid in our class that was like, he was big, like 7th grade, like 6'4", like a big dude, like 250. And like, he was kind of like the giant among us. If I was going to say, if anybody, he might make it. But even then, I would say.
Did he play sports?
He
just fucking
didn't really.
Water paint.
Yeah, no, he didn't. I'm trying to think because I know he got because like we used to he was a friend of mine actually, and like we used to play like on some like intramural leagues or whatever, like some shit like that, but never like he wasn't really the type of guy to play school sports. I'll just leave it at that. But he was a big dude. But within my own high school, I probably don't think I would place. I think I would do better than you might think. Like I don't think I'd be in that first wave of people like just crushed in that like in that initial like battle royale or whatever. But like I said, I knew but we had that big guy and considering like we were suburban school, like, but we had some people that, lived and worked on farms. So we had some people that were like farm strong. You know what I mean? Like they didn't look like it, but they were like, I had a couple fights in school that I did well. And then I had 1 or 2 fights against those farm strong people. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's like some real strength. Like you work every day. And that's just on a different level. So I think overall, probably no.
Brandon?
So my school was pretty athletic. You guys know the guy, if you guys watch football, guy who went to my high school won the Heisman Trophy. Mark Ingram was a freshman.
Shit.
Yeah, Mark Ingram was a
big trust.
Yeah, Mark Ingram was a freshman when I was a senior, and I would not have won anything against him as a senior as he was a freshman because he was massive as a freshman. He was playing varsity football, averaging 4 touchdowns a game as a freshman. In high school, so it was like that was our chant in the stands that year was he's a freshman. So like, it's just like, what do you say to that? You know what I'm saying? And my school was very athletic. We won all the stuff. Like, it was like most people who know like my area of where I went to school have a hard time believing somebody my height made basketball teams because our basketball teams always did really well. A lot of athletics. It was just a giant school. I graduated with like 650 people. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a really big school with a lot of people and it was pretty diverse for the area as well. So it's just like, it was just a lot of people. So I would not enter the tournament in my school. So I don't know how I would do because I just wouldn't be the one.
Good.
Like, you're not just good.
Yeah.
It was just too much.
He's a freshman.
Exactly. I wouldn't even understand. I'm letting y'all know right now. Like, saying if I'm like, Brendan, let's do it during your senior year. And like, Mark Ingram's going to be in it. I was just be like, why? Why would I do that? Like, there was a lot of other people who played a lot of D1 sports going to my school while I was there. It's like, playing Michigan State football and like all that kind of stuff and like starting, it's like all these homies I know. And I'm just like, no, like I would get crushed. And how do I think my high school would do? I think it would do good. So I don't think my high school would win the tournament because we never won any state championships while I was there. So we didn't win the shit that we had. So why do I think we'd win some unless it was swimming? For some reason, our swimming team won everything every year.
Y'all was always in the conversation, but never as the champions.
Exactly. Like we'd make the playoffs every year and win a couple and then probably lose to the same powerhouse team every year or something like that.
Y'all was the Wizards during Cleveland Cavaliers during LeBron's time.
I know we were like the Raptors. Make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. What happens? LeBron James said, "Go over the hump."
I was thinking, speaking of fighting, you done? My bad, Brendan.
No, that was it. I'm good.
Oh, I was just thinking of fighting. I was thinking about today. I was weighing myself and like, I'm like 195 pounds. And I'm thinking like, fam, if I were to fight in that weight class, I pride myself on fighting. I would get fucking smoked.
Oh, yeah. And that weight class particularly.
195 pounds. Like, look at me. I don't look it. But like, if I were to fight in my weight class, I have to go down at least 140 to even have a chance of a chance.
You would have to drop a lot of weight to be able to fight, for sure.
It would be best for you to probably fight around with Floyd and then fight at either 147 or 154.
I was just like, fuck.
I would probably fight at 135 or something like that, to be honest. Like, I mean, because of how my build is, my frame. But good follow-up question. So of all that, what type of tournament do you think you would place in? Like, so what skills do you think you're like, I'm so good at this, if there was a tournament with this, that I would place in? I would say we actually had a basketball a 3-on-3 tournament at our school. The whole school gets involved, so that's including the actual varsity players and stuff like that. And I remember my friends, we had made the sophomore team. We were very upset about that. We were like, we should not be on fucking Frost Soft. We should be on the varsity basketball team. This is some bullshit. And this 3-on-3 tournament is going to show everybody that we are, as sophomores, better than our varsity team. And we end up placing fourth place out of the whole school, which is not bad at all. Fourth place out of a whole school, and everybody else I think was.
You had to beat seniors because that's only 9 people.
And the reason why we lost was because one of our friends, it's 3-on-3 tournament, and you get one sub. One of our friends, for some reason, he showed up every single game murdering. But this one game, I don't know if he had something going on in his family or what. He just kept getting destroyed. And then we had to switch our biggest person on their best person at that time, which was my boy Ricky. And then now their center, who was like 6'6", the rest of us are 5'8". Now he's just doing this. And so we were just like, there's nothing we could do because of our boy just didn't show up. He just showed up to play that game. We ended up losing. And then I think Jordan Farmar, he played in the NBA. He went to UCLA, played in the NBA. I think his team might have actually won. And they were he was younger than us, but I don't know if his whole team were freshmen. I think he played with some of the varsity basketball players. But that's when I was just like, all right, I know skill-wise, if he just would have showed up, we would have been in that championship game. Because now it's like we lose that, and then the other 3 teams, they just end up battling it out. But I definitely think if he would have showed up, we would have been in that top 2 for sure. Brennan?
Is this only athletics?
What?
The question that you're saying, what tournament
whatever
would you
think, like if you got a skill, different type of skill, whether it's like you feel like you top Pokemon card players and shit like that, video game player, whatever it is. I already know Brennan's gonna say, but go ahead, Brennan.
Why did you even just give away all my top Pokemon I'd whoop everybody in Pokemon cards and video games.
But what game specifically? Pick a game specifically. Which I already know you're gonna pick, but pick a game.
Halo 2.
Oh, I didn't think that. Okay.
Yeah. I played Halo 2 competitively and was ranked.
That's right. That's right. You just say that.
So that probably, or Super Smash Brothers, or.
Do you feel like you're better at Super Smash or Halo?
Halo.
Oh, okay.
Sure. Yeah. Because the thing is, I've done well in tournaments in Halo. I've not done well in tournaments in Super Smash. I've only won one tournament in Super Smash, but it was. I went to the Halo tournament. It was like a team thing. It was like did well. So I went to the Super Smash tournament and was just like, oh, okay, cool. There's levels to this,
Yeah.
So I think that's easily those things. Like, because I was good at basketball, but I wasn't like, let me get ranked good in basketball. Like, if I wouldn't have got injured, like, I would have been extremely grateful to have gotten like a D3 offer. You know what I'm saying? Maybe. I would have been like, oh my God. They're like, we'll give you $500 a semester. I'd be like, oh my God. Like, I wasn't good enough. I was just too little. Like, if I had my exact same skill set at 6'3", then I would have been a monster, but I'm 5'7". Like, that is a huge difference.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
I feel like you got me to 5'11". I'd have been at least at a lower level D1. I would have been fine with that.
Yeah. But yeah.
Rob?
Actually, I was in a tournament that I won in high school on my senior year.
Dungeons and Dragons.
It wasn't actually. It was dodgeball. I was in a dodgeball tournament. A bunch of my friends and I, we had like towards the end of the year, we like when it got to be like summertime, his semester's ending, we had like a festival day where like there wasn't really like we had like homeroom and like that was it. And like we kind of just like people would spend the day outside. There'd be like flag football tournament. There'd be like, they had like some activities you could do, like stuff like that. And then that particular year, there was a dodgeball tournament. And I actually signed up with a bunch of some of my younger friends who were like, I guess they would have been juniors, some of them maybe even sophomores at the time. And it was a dodgeball tournament. And we ended up winning that. And then, which was crazy because like it was us and there was like another group of friends that kind of were in the opposite end of the bracket. We ended up going against each other for the championship match and we won, which was super cool. And then we had to face the teachers and those motherfuckers cheated. They cheated. They cheated. We won that, cause they get hit and then they wouldn't go out.
No, get your ass up out of here.
Yeah, it was legit. Because I think it was the teachers just being like, we cannot lose this. Like it was them looking at each other like, we make the rules here. We are not losing this game. We cannot lose control over these kids. That's my theory. Because we definitely had a few times where we were like, or we caught it and they wouldn't go out. So we ended up losing the game to the teachers, but there was some fishy shit going on there. That's all I'm gonna say. Fishy shit.
Ice.
I think for me, granted, as like I said, I've had successes in track, obviously getting D1 scholarships and stuff. But I think out of all the sports that I played, they're ranking, like I feel like I was a far better football player than anything. I mean, I was a all-state running receiver, but I had more rushing yards than receiving yards because we ran jet sweep more than anything. So my rushing yards was through the roof. I just only played 1 year of football at a high level, so I only had 1 year of film, and I still got offers, but they paled in comparison to the offers I was getting for track. But that's something that used to nag at me. Like, fuck, and I went to Kansas State and they just wouldn't let me do two sports. And that just was always frustrating. It's like, unless you're Terrence Newman, you can't play two sports. And I'm like, all right, bro, like, whatever. But I do feel like that was something that I would have, like, from a rankings perspective, because I am 5'11", and I do have, I did have the tools, but I just never really got to, one of those things that I never would know how that panned out. But I do feel like that I would have been, definitely somebody that's ranked from a sports perspective in football. Yeah.
All right, our next question. What high school age character from another show that we've watched would you want to see enter this tournament as a ringer? Rob.
I'm going with a low-hanging fruit here. I'm going with my guy, Yusuke Urameshi. He's got the hands.
That's such a good pick.
I think if that ghost dude shows up out of that judge, Yusuke is not having any problems. He's got his spirit, finger, shotgun, whatever. He's ghost busting that thing. I think Yusuke would do well in this tournament because we see later on in like the end of season 1, he comes up against like the best high schoolers from another school, and he and Kuwabara beat the dog shit out of him. It's not close. Everybody knows Yusuke is somebody to look out for. So I think Yusuke would do very well in this tournament.
Brennan.
I would take, I don't want to ruin my other question if you're going to ask it, because I know what I want to say. I'm going to put Tanjiro in this junk, bro. Like, okay. He might be a little bit too young, but Tanjiro would show up. They say you can use any weapon you want, bro.
True.
That water style is about to do work in this tournament, bro. He is going to do absolute work. Like, he's cutting them rocks in half, bro. These dudes ain't ready. Like that girl with that moon style, like, your moon this will be a new moon.
It was a fucking crescent moon fucking with me.
Exactly. So
he would get the he's a freshman chant. He's a freshman.
Tanjiro will give the hands as a freshman to pretty much anybody in this show.
I think isn't Baki a high schooler?
Yeah.
He is. It's very similar.
I would go with Baki. There's a question I had followed up with that, but I think Baki would be a problem in there. I think he would give a lot. I ain't
seen enough from Baki.
Huh?
I haven't seen enough from Baki to either way to say he get washed or to say that he'll win.
Is this pre or post sexual awakening for Baki though? He still got his V card on him because that seems to make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I would want to see it. I want to see what he does. I'm not saying he would win. I think he would. I think it'll be fun to see. Now I want to see. I want to see. I want to see a tournament with all those guys in it. Go ahead, Ice. Who you got?
That'd be fun.
First people that come to mind, but the more I thought about it, first two people that came to mind was Rock Lee from Naruto and then Gon, but I don't know how old Gon is. But I feel like both of those guys, I don't think he's a teenager either. I think he's like 12. So, but after really thinking about it, and he's older now, but the teen version of him, fucking Teen Gohan would wipe the floor with anybody in there. Like, you can bring this demon. I don't give a fuck. Like, I beat Perfect Cell, fam.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, totally.
But it's a show that we watched.
Oh, from we watched. Oh, yeah. I didn't even hear that part that you said that we watched. Oh, shit. My bad.
He got so excited about that Gohan though.
That
I had Gohan.
He's similar to Gon.
You can't choose him because of.
Yeah,
similar to Gon, he's only like 13-ish when he beats Perfect Cell. He's a young guy. He's junior high school.
He's barely teen. That's my bad. I did not hear you. From what we watched, I think Kaneki would do some damage if he like late season 1 Kaneki. I feel like he
late season 1, season going
into season 2,
last season, summer of season 1 going into season 2. that Kaneki I feel like could do some work.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
I would actually want to see those 4 go at it in a tournament and see who will win.
Yeah.
Does Shonen Jump have any of them? Like the Shonen Jump game?
The Jump Force?
I think Tanjiro's in there. I feel like
Tanjiro?
I feel like he might be in there. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay.
What's the name of Tanjiro? From what I've seen, I mean, honestly, from everybody in that show though, but like Tanjiro doesn't have hands though. Like, have you seen him punch anybody? Even in the
He's got the forehead.
He broke all the dude's ribs, all the Warhawk dude's ribs in one punch.
And he's a headbutter too.
True.
Yeah, but
because they fought hand to hand, and he did. They were pretty evenly matched.
Yeah. All right, so just to follow up with that question, going into Brennan's question, who do you think will win in a fight between the protagonist and Tanjiro?
Tanjiro all day. Tanjiro all day. This guy.
Too early to tell, man. Well, you watched the whole season already, so that's fair.
Well, I'm speaking from what we can see, what we've seen.
Okay.
But even
first
still,
4 episodes of Tanjiro, first 4 episodes of him.
If you guys don't remember, Tanjiro finished his training in episode 2. So I just don't know if you guys remember that. Like, we got through
I didn't realize it was that fast.
We got through full family massacre. I'm pretty sure it was at least episode 3.
I think it happened in that 4 stretch episode stretch, sure. But I don't know about the second. I know it's neck breaking fast, but I don't know if it was that fast.
I'm looking it up.
That's quick. I feel like that's too quick.
Maybe episode 4.
Yeah, 3 to 4.
Nah, bruh. I'm telling you right now, like maybe 3.
I think it was 3 because the second episode is when he fought that demon and met the dude with the demon mask, and then I think the 3rd episode is like all of him training to slashing the rock.
Yep, you're right. Episode 3.
Then the 4th episode,
and episode 4 is when he
the final selection.
He decapitates the hand demon.
That hand demon would be I think some trouble for people.
Yeah, that hand demon was in this. You know what I'm saying? Was in this tournament. Like, remember the hand demon was the one that like killed all the other predecessors to Tanjiro or whatever? Yeah. Like that thing and that little thing, that would probably kill all these kids in this tournament so far. So, and Tanjiro killed that thing. So I'm going to say Tanjiro wins against our main protagonist.
Ice.
I haven't seen enough from the main protagonist, so I don't know. I don't know what he's capable of. Going off what I see, Tanjiro would wipe the floor for him, but that dude's fast, man. Like, if one thing I can say about that dude, like, his speed is, like, out of this world. But I think it's just, like, when we start comparing Shield Hero stuff to other people, it's just, like, to, like, Goblin Slayer stuff, I think it's just the power levels. I feel like Tanjiro is just on a whole nother power scale than the God of High School as a whole is. Even if you bring the Hand of God stuff and all that other shit, from what I've seen so far, they're not even on the same bracket. So I think definitely Tanjiro.
Rob?
I think I got to give it to Tanjiro. Even in these first 4 episodes, and I think I got to give it to, and even I agree. We haven't seen a lot from this guy. I think is Mori. Jin Mori is his name. I haven't seen a lot from him. So there's still a lot of question marks for me because he hasn't really broken a sweat much. Yeah. But I think Tanjiro's got an X factor that would give him the upper edge. It would give him the upper hand, because also we see this guy. He doesn't have his head in the fight all the time. You know, he gets caught. You know, Mira sneaks up behind him and literally breaks his neck. You know, like this demon thing comes out and like pins him to the ground, and he's like, "Oh fuck, I'm dead." Like he literally thought to himself when he was pinned to the ground by that thing, like, "I'm about to die." So I don't think Tanjiro's got that same. I don't think he'd be caught like that. I think he'd be much more aware. I think he's just got a bit more of a killer instinct than this guy does.
Yeah, I honestly think I agree. I think Tanjiro has not fucked around in a fight. Every fight has been serious. This dude hasn't taken really any fight too serious. He gets hyped over fighting, like kind of like Goku, but he's not like, he doesn't take it serious like that. Tanjiro's kind of like, bro, I got to take you out. I got to get you up out of here. I got to get you up out of here.
Or everybody dies.
He knows the severity of every situation. Tanjiro got caught slipping. I'm not going to speak to it, but he got caught slipping one time in the manga, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, after that, I think he takes it pretty much serious.
Wait, I'm sorry. What did you just say, Ice?
I'm not going to repeat that.
All right, go on.
No, I just said he got caught slipping once in the manga. That's it. But
why are we talking about the manga? Did we say now we talking about the manga?
I didn't give him any details. I just said he got caught slipping.
I can't stand y'all motherfuckers.
But after that, to your point, Keenan, after he got caught slipping, he was like, "Yo, fuck that. That will never happen again." And it never happened again.
I think Tanjiro, even in those early episodes, I think pound for pound, this kid is just stronger. He's physically probably a better fighter and stronger. But I just think that Tanjiro is so locked in, that's what's going to give him the W. And that's why he wins. It's not because he's actually stronger than this kid. I think this kid is actually stronger than him, at least as of right now. Not throughout the whole series, of course. Just how we're watching it. If you're going off, I guess, the first few episodes.
I agree with that.
Out of the three main characters that we've seen fighting, whose style are you the most interested in? Ice.
I'm more interested in, initially it was the Moon style just because that sounds dope as fuck. And she had the wooden sword and then she was doing the slicing with her hands. But seeing her get dogged out by, I forgot the dude, the tall guy, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Beginning to get watched out by him, I was just like, oh no, I'm not interested anymore. But the main character, more so of what the Park Mujin said when he saw him knocked out, he was just like, hey, like, oh, you're a pupil of the White Tiger or whatever the fuck.
It's Taekwondo though, right? What he's doing?
Yeah, it's Taekwondo, yeah. But the fact that he was a pupil of somebody, like this, that backstory of that, I feel like there's more to the eye than just regular Taekwondo. So I think whatever he harnessing, I feel like that's something that's the most interesting to me.
Brennan?
It's a really hard question because like the strong guy doesn't really have a style. He's just strong. The girl's moon
it's
style.
Karate, right?
That's what the guy in the book said it was. But for me, it's just like he just kind of seems to overpower people. And he even says first stance, second stance. But I'm like, you just making that up, bro?
Rock, paper.
I know, right? Like, you just went straight Hunter. I don't know, man. I'm gonna go with the moon style just because it's just the most prominent. In the sense of like she really does like I love that she took like lost her shit and was like moon style, like what? I don't have a sword. She was like get these hands get cut by these. It's like wait, like she don't even need a sword.
Well, that's what makes me think about her style. It's like it's not even about the sword at all. It's really about just that person. So I'm
it just kills me that the name of the style has sword in it. So I'm just like
maybe because she's slicing and dicing. You see her even when she's kind of throwing her hands, it's like slicing people up.
But yeah, that's the one I'd be most interested in because Jin just seems like he's like an instinctual fighter, like Taekwondo, but mostly instinctual. So I'm with her.
Yeah, Rob?
I'm with her.
Yeah, I didn't mean that wasn't even intentional.
We just dropping all the political stuff right now.
It wasn't even intentional.
Actually, I'm gonna go opposite with a lot of you guys are saying. I'm actually interested to see more about what Han is doing because I was kind of interested in his fight when he definitely seems to have kind of like it. I thought it was just like kind of a strongman, like street fighting style, but those stances he was talking about, I kind of recognized, keyed something off in my brain. even though it was analyzed as karate, it sounded like those things he was talking about, like, you know, the black turtle, white tiger, like those I think are like kung fu like styles and techniques. And it reminded me a lot of like Iron Fist. I think, you know, those, I think, you know, if you played Ultimate Alliance, I think you played it, right, Keenan? Like there's a moment where you have like a little puzzle. You have to move like these like statues around, and each one of them is like a pillar of kung fu. I think it's even got brought up in like Cowboy Bebop or something like that, where like there are all these different like animals. There's like these sacred animals in kung fu. It's like the black turtle, like the red phoenix, the white tiger, and blue something, like blue lion. I forget. Anyway, that kind of got my interest peaked, and I'm like, all right, this guy might have more levels than we've really gotten to see yet. And I think I'm just interested to see, because we've heard so much about the other people and what they have going on, whether it's his Taekwondo style or the moon thing. Even the fact that this dude was able to stop like a sword with his like bare hand. I'm like,
that's crazy.
What's this guy got going on? Like, who trained him? Where did he get this from? I'm interested in finding out more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I rock with that. I liked his style too, because it was so rugged. But I would go with, I guess, Jin, the main character, just because I took Taekwondo when I was a kid, but I never finished. I never got close to finishing. It was more like Hood Kwando. So I would go. Yeah, it was. Yeah, the homie's dad was like, "Yeah, I know Taekwondo, man. Kick this tree, nigga." And it's just like, all right, man, we're gonna kick the tree.
That'd be a hilarious sketch, dog.
Bro, it was.
Kick
But he
this
knew
tree.
And he looked what he was like. His style looked nice, but I felt like we were just. It was like a way for him to beat us and not get in trouble, because we didn't learn any actual skills. It was just everything was taking hits. Or I'm gonna put this pad to your stomach, take this hit to the stomach. Pull! We're like, shit. When did we learn offense? We didn't learn no offense.
That is hilarious, man.
Yeah,
So,
I'm gonna beat the shit out of these kids. Taekwondo, come here.
He used to beat the hell out of his son. And the only thing he taught us was how to do the splits. And he would put our leg up, put our back against the wall, and put our leg up until it hits to our front of the foot. It hits the back to the wall like that.
Imagine to go and pick your son up, and you just see this grown ass man with your son's fucking leg up to the tree.
Super Bowl, but that's hilarious. I'm like, what the hell my son doing over there? Get off my son.
What the fuck you doing
That's
with my
hilarious.
son, man?
That's horrible.
Oh
If
my
I ever
God.
see that, like Icy, somebody got Icy up on a tree doing the splits, you're catching hands. I don't give a fuck if you know Taekwondo or
That's
not. Like, we just gonna be at it. Like,
he would have whooped. He would have whooped. Probably. I don't know. He would have took my dad out. To be honest with you, he would have took my dad. He didn't know. He did. I seen him kick and punch a tree and leave fist and footprints in the tree. Like he was. He knew what he was doing.
you would
himself.
have to leave fist and footprints in my fucking chest, because you're not gonna have my son leg up on the tree like that. Like, I don't give a
Bend
fuck.
over to the front and touch your toes, ass.
That's so
Oh
funny.
fuck no!
That's terrible, man. Next question. If you were in a martial arts tournament where you could use weapons, what weapon would you choose? And let's assume guns are not an option. So what weapon would you use and you can't choose a gun? Rob.
I'm going with something pretty simple on this. It's actually something I also took some martial arts training when I was younger. I took a little bit of a weapons class, and the one they start you out with is my choice. They always start you out with the bow staff. You know, just like regular Donatello, like from the Ninja Turtles bow staff. And the reason they did that is because it's a simple weapon. You got a lot of reach. And if you're like in a situation where, like, you know, side of the road, you're in an office somewhere, you're at a bar or something like that, you can usually find something that's going to resemble a bow staff, like a stick, pool cue, a broom, something like that. So they're like, this is just a very versatile weapon. Plus, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with a sword. I could lose a finger. I could chop off my dick. I just want, like, give me a stick, and I'll get some reach on there. You know, it's a simple weapon. I think I'll do pretty well with it.
You don't want the bow staff that the sixth brother had, the one with the
Oh, he's got the spear on the end with the little tassel. Like, yeah. I mean, maybe if I'm getting fancy, but like, I feel like even that I wouldn't even necessarily know what to do with. Plus, like that like spear style thing, like you're supposed to like use that as like misdirection or something like that, so you don't know like where it's coming from. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with that. I at least feel like with a bow staff, I'm like, all right, I'm pretty comfortable with this in my hands.
Do you feel till this day, like, if you need to,
you can't say those words anymore without actually quoting Deontay Wilder.
Google it. Do you feel confident in using that right now?
Yeah, you know, I still could. I would be able to do a few things. Like I'm certainly not in tip top shape anymore. I certainly, you know, I have some skills that have certainly fallen away a bit, but I did it enough that there's some stuff baked in my muscle memory, my brain that like I could still land a solid few hits on somebody.
We get into a bar fight, throw his ass a pool stick, rock.
Just, yeah. Do some fucking figure eights with that shit.
Like, you know,
that's the dude. That's the don't fuck with me.
Yeah.
I'd be that guy.
I feel like I always think of nunchucks, you know, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like
Nunchucks are so hard to use.
Yeah, I've used them before as a kid, and
I just think nuts every time. Nuts. Just
I go off what Brennan kind of stated earlier with the raid too. Like if you can get lethal with the bat, like I always think of that scene when he's walking up.
Woo!
And he just comes up and just starts just going to work on these guys. I was just like, man, you give me a bat and a metal bat at that, it's gonna be a problem. That's what I'm not saying I'm good with it now. I'm trash with it. But if I had learned the skills that he knows with his skills, oh bro. Oh.
Yeah.
I won't work with everybody. I want to smoke with everybody.
I can see that.
I would do like just ninja stars. I think that'd be hard because it's one of those things that like you don't have to have a big weapon to like it's just whoever wielding it. I'd be one of those people that'd be like, dog, you just got ninja stars, but like I could take a sword hit and fucking defend you with the star, and then I'd just be fucking mobile and throwing them bitches and putting them shits on strings and like doing just creative shit with ninja stars that you wouldn't even fucking think about. And yeah, that's what I do. I feel like I would fuck somebody up. I wouldn't be long range and close range with fucking ninja stars.
I feel like Ice would be like, oh shit, I'm out. Oh, what do I do?
Just get him back. You're picking him up
like some type of boomerang type shit. Like just
picking them out of your dead enemies. So.
Yeah, just like
hold on, guys,
scavenger.
Brennan?
10-body katana. If you don't know how katanas were measured back in the day, it was a fucked up measurement system. Katana would be a sword. And what they would do is line up prisoners that were on death row and then have a master swordsman swing. They'd line up 10 of them in a row. Where the sword stops tells you how many bodies that sword is worth. The maximum being 10. So if it stopped at 4 bodies, if it stopped at the spine of the 4th guy, that's a 4-body katana. But if it gets all the way through all of them in one clean swipe through all 10 people's bodies, you have yourself a 10-body katana.
And that's just somebody walking down the line?
No, it's one slash. Like, he just does like a, like, you line him up like, you know, like,
no.
ass to butt, like, just like straight slash through 10 people.
God, how do you even get, they do it to prisoners?
Yeah, prisoners. People are on death row.
Sick.
Yep.
God.
Yep, so they line them up and then just be like, oh, this is a good one, 10-body. All right, next up, line up the next prisoners. Like, let's see this new sword. You know, that's how they tested them. So I said a 10-body katana because the sharpness of that blade, it's like, yes, it's just as likely I'm going to fuck myself up with it. But I've played enough with swords in the sense of like I had a bunch of them when I was like younger and stuff like that. And I never cut myself that I feel pretty confident that it would be dangerous enough that somebody come at me. It would be over so fast that I would put the katana away, you know, and not hurt myself. It'd just be like,
yeah.
That's why when you see like, it's always boring to watch like a samurai or a swordsman run through their practice because it's always so fast. They're always just like, and then they just put it right back away. You're like, that's it? Where's the sword fight? Where's the cling? Where's the whatever? It's like, yo, if you have a 10-body katana, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like,
Yeah.
So you
They're not supposed to go
fast.
Yeah. Lupe. Who's a
Yeah,
fucking
with the
monster.
sword, dog.
yeah, but if you see how
Yeah.
Lupe actually is a trained swordsman, and like if you watch
real.
and if you watch the way he does it, exactly, he does one slash normally and then puts it away because that's all it takes.
That's why
One
Lupe
slash.
my favorite rapper. And I'd be like, my favorite rapper would beat the dog shit out your favorite rapper because Lupe is nothing to fuck with.
All right, there's a question. Have you ever heard rapping in another language that impressed you? Brennan.
Japanese trap music. Look it up. Holy shit, bruh. I don't know what the hell they're talking about, but they go so hard. Like, I'm just saying, like, their voices, their delivery, their cadence, the music, everything about it. I was like, yo, like, if this was in English, this person right here, if they had the connections to get into the industry for us, they'd be going toe to toe with people. Like, they went hard. Like, some of them are on my I have a playlist. I got to find, like, all I'm saying is, like, Japanese trap music went hard as shit. And this was inspired by the episode having the rappers in it.
You got to give us an artist that you think, or a song that you think we would like.
That pissed me off when they did that. I ain't gonna lie.
What, Japanese trap music?
No. The rapper in there.
Yeah, he wasn't good.
That made me mad. That made me mad.
All right.
I mean, go ahead, Ice.
I at first in my head I was like, no, all the Japanese trap music that I've come across are just Japanese. Any type of rap that was foreign, it's always been garbage to me. But I remember one specific video that I saw, and it was like a Japanese artist, and they were doing it, and that shit, like, it was actually
that
hard.
one guy that was looking mad? He's like sitting down. And
he had a grill.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, that
Holy
shit was
shit,
that shit was hard. That's the only time. That shit was dope as fuck.
He changed my whole perspective of what other rappers do.
But up until then, I'm like, fuck no. But then when Brendan was saying that, I was like, I thought about it, and that shit was actually hard. And the beat was hard as fuck too. So, which is an essential of trap music. You gotta have a hard beat. So
I just found it.
That would be it. Any that I've heard French rap garbage.
No. There's some good French rappers actually. Like if you go to Colors, on YouTube. There's a guy. All right, I'll find it. I'll just send that out to you.
I would, and I don't consider Afro beats rap. I consider it Afro beats, but if you want, because like people like Burna Boy and stuff like them, they rap. But if you want to call that rap, then I would say like Afro beats, African rap would be dope. It's pretty dope. But if not, then it'd just be Japanese trap. That dude specifically.
That's what I actually had Afro beats, and it wasn't like. I know there's the sound is his own sound, but I guess what they're doing is technically rapping, but the beats are Afro, but it's like its own style. Mm-hmm. But like if I'm going off how they're I guess putting stuff together, it sounds like rap. Yeah. I enjoy it. I have a playlist.
Hell yeah.
I enjoy the hell out of it, and it's I like that it's not always as hard either. You know what I'm saying?
It's real melodic. Burna Boy, I fuck with Burna Boy heavy. Wizkid, like I like those guys.
Rob.
My first inclination was to say no, but especially since I immediately thought of like what we've seen in anime, whether it was Megalobox, that little kid rapping, or
garbage,
or what we saw here, and I even recently saw a trailer for a show. I think I told Brennan and Keenan about it called like Mystic Mike or something like that, or like Hypnotic Mike, and it's an entire show about like rap battles, like with like anime action, and all of it sounds, I can't tell if it's like just what I'm hearing or if it's because I can read what it translates out to, but I'm like, this sucks. This is not good. And maybe I would feel differently if I was only listening to just like what it sounds like rather than like reading what it translates out to. But every time I read it, what it translates out to, I'm just like, this is so lame. I'm not interested in this at all.
That's your next paper up.
Yeah, Hypnotic Mike, or I'm thinking about it. Honestly, like there's a part of me that's like so tempted. So I'd be interested to hear what Brennan sends about the Japanese trap stuff.
I just sent y'all 2 links, and I'll say, like, the top one is the song's name is Arigato. It's dope. And then the second one is the French guy. His name is Chrissy.
Did you send the one that you and Ifer talked about? Because I didn't.
That's the first one. That's the first link.
Okay, that's the first one. Okay.
What did you Google?
You said what?
What did you Google to bring that up?
Japanese trap music.
And that must be their staple. That must be their guy. For him
yeah, I mean, I just knew what the video looked like, so I just looked through all the thumbnails and just pulled it up.
But my second thought was actually, I was like, I think I've heard some Spanish rap that I thought was pretty good. I know Immortal Technique has done. I know he's Peruvian. Actually, I just found that out. I didn't know he was Peruvian, but he's got some. I know he's got some stuff. I think on Point of No Return, or not that song necessarily specifically, but I think on Revolutionary Volume 2, he's got a couple songs or a couple of rhymes he drops in Spanish that sounded pretty good. So yeah, maybe a little Spanish, a little bit, like not in a long time, but a bit.
All right.
I fuck with. I like. He's cool.
All right. So yeah, that concludes the question portion. I had some more, but I feel like that was a good one to end off on. So let's get into.
His name is Kohh, just for the record, Japanese rapper.
Kohh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kohh. Ko.
Henry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go into our likes and dislikes and our scores and stuff like that. Go ahead, Ice.
I mean, this is I threw this gripe in the chat that really pissed me off. Well, I'll start with the good. I like the getting after it part of it. We're not gonna waste too much time getting you story. We'll sprinkle the story in, That was enough for me. Like, it was enough story for me to be interested in the story. The fighting, they got to it pretty quickly and often. Outside the wedding episode, it was pretty action oriented, and even in that episode, they had a little bit of action. So I want to keep watching it. I feel like this is a really good anime to suggest to somebody that hasn't watched anime. I think if they're new to anime, like, what should I watch? Hey, watch God of High School. So far from what I've seen in the first 4 episodes, I know that might be a little bit different later on, but initially, this is something I would recommend. It's like one of those things. If you coming in late to it and you watching it, you won't be too confused. And I like that about it. It's a really pick up and go type of anime. What I don't like is just the character design for the 3 main characters. Like, I was just like, what the fuck, man? Like, outside of Jin Mori, what's it, Jin Mori, whatever?
Moran.
Yeah, Jin Mori.
Like, outside of his star eyes, he really looks like just a regular ass anime character. Like we were talking about in the chat that we have that Rob was saying that he just like, yeah, he's the dude from Digimon. Yeah. Basically, like a great value version of him. So
Great value version
of him. So yeah, that really drew me off. I was kind of like the running joke is like, you knew Tanjiro was the main character. You knew Zenitsu had something to do with the show. Like, you knew that, like, initially, like, just from seeing them. And you really don't get that vibe from none of those 3. The other girl, she has a schoolgirl outfit. And then the dude just has a regular collar shirt and pants. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, you fucking looking for Neo? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, he just looked mad regular.
Yeah, he does.
That really kind of did it. That, like, it didn't drop the score tremendously, but I feel like they could have put more effort into that. And for the lack of effort to be there, the fights wasn't over the top that made me go crazy to the point where you lack on those ends. So outside of that, the wrestling girl giving somebody a stunner, none of those fights just had me like
that stunner, bruh. Woo.
That shit was hard and had me like, oh shit.
Look like it hurt.
Other than that, I wasn't too like blown away from the fights. And if you're gonna have a show that's made off of fights, it needs to be a lot better. But I don't hate it. And it's cool. I want to see what happens next. Overall, I give it a 6,500.
Rob?
I'll start with the good as well. I also enjoyed that they got right to it. You know, it's about a tournament, I guess, I think. And they fight, and you know, you get right to that. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I liked that, you know, you could really like every episode seemed to be moving until you hit that 4th episode, which I felt slammed on the brakes so hard and was. I really did not like the 4th episode of this stretch. And I guess that brings me to the bad, is that I really didn't like the 4th episode of this stretch. And it made me even wonder, like, do I even know what this show's about? Like, it seems to be about a tournament, but is it more about this short, shadowy organization? And if it is, I still don't really have any information on what they're doing or what's going on. It feels a little bit like, I guess I keep flip-flopping back and forth on this show. Because I feel like at one point, like, I was interested in hearing Brennan's, you know, factual actuals, because it seems like it's a love letter to anime. Like, there's a ton of just like nods and homages to other big animes. I feel like, you know, that guy kind of looks like Goku / the Digimon main character. I feel like, you know, he had him eating these fruits, like kind of like a devil fruit thing from like One Piece. You kind of have like this giant tournament, which is kind of like a Baki thing. It just felt like there were lots of little elements taken from other shows. And that I enjoyed, but it felt like maybe they took a piece too much, and they have a little bit too much going on. And I wished that they had just kind of got through the tournament. I also found with that 4th episode, just storyline wise, just didn't make any sense to me from start to finish. They were literally doing this tournament at a breakneck speed. Like, the next day you're coming in, you're facing your next match. Then they're on their way to the fight for the Final Four, or at least on their way home after hearing the announcements. And then she has a time to plan an entire wedding before her next fight. It makes zero sense to me. And then even at the end of that episode, after Han is beating the shit out of her, the judge is just like, whoa, dude, you got to stop. Where the fuck was that in the fight with the Tai Chi dude, where he was breaking his fucking arms going like, beg me for your life?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me. So the fourth episode, I felt like the show was doing pretty well for me, and then the fourth episode really knocked it out of whack. And so I'm going to give it a 5,000.
Okay.
It's a see me after class. It's not irredeemable. It can come back from this. But it's a see me after class for sure.
Ready.
Honestly, I was actually going to bring up a lot of the points that Rob did and just the inconsistency of time. What I really liked about this show, definitely the same as all you guys, is that they get after it. What I didn't like the most was the rap as well as episode 4. Episode 4 made no sense whatsoever.
Yeah,
it just destroyed all the things that were happening for all the people. I'm not a big fan of the aloof protagonist, because he has Goku's personality. Like, let's just get it all the way from. Like, he is Goku as a character. Like, that's the exact same. There's a strong person here. This person beat me. Then the only thing I can think about is fighting him. It's just like, you want to fight? Well, they look strong. I want to fight them. Like, that's literally his whole purpose in life right now. Is like, Grandpa, fight. Like, same shit as Goku. Grandpa Gohan, fight. You know what I'm saying? It's literally straight on. What I already told you I didn't like. So I'm just going to just say straight up my score. Because like I said, Rob broke down what I was planning to break down. And like the time scale and like the world building is pretty not good here. Like, we don't have a world built here. We have an idea of a tournament that isn't even really well defined. We don't have characters being developed either. Like, I think they do their best at character development. I think they did okay on character development because that's like, there's a lot of backstory. It's like, oh, this is the moon style. And, here's my grandpa. And, like for our main 3 characters, they go back and look at them. But I think that the world building aspect, which as you guys know is my favorite aspect of anime, they fail. Because it's just like this, what is this world? First of all, where's the high school?
It's in Seoul, I think.
No, but I'm saying we don't see it.
There's no classes. There's no principal. There's no
teachers. There's no principals. There's administrators for the tournament and the tournament, and then people who look like grown ass men fighting in a tournament. Mm-hmm. Like that's what we
fight in school. Then no academics.
Mm. Yeah, that's all. Like, if you don't got hands, you go learn from a book. Apparently,
obviously not because the students there watching.
Yeah, that's fine. All the students are in the stands. You're right. So for me, I'm like, is this like a every 10 years thing? Is this every 5 years thing? Like, what is this tournament? What has been granted to people in the past? You know what I'm saying? Like, we have literally no context of why these kids are so desperate to win this outside of you can make a wish. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, what is a wish? Like, okay, I wish that we all lived on Mars. Could that happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, what kind of power level are we talking about when it comes to the type of wishes that can be granted? So it's just like, for me, it's just like, there isn't real good reasons for them to throw hands with each other the way that they're doing it. And then also, if you have this type of nanotechnology, like, and why is my man's homie in the bed sick like that? True. You know what I'm saying? Like, why is that the reason they're using this nanotechnology, is to have these high schoolers beat the shit out of each other versus actually cure real cancer or whatever this guy's dealing with?
Maybe it has limitations. Yeah.
Maybe, but I'm saying my man's neck got broken in midair. Huh?
Can they convey? Do you feel like they can convey all of that in that 4 episodes, though? Do you feel from like a writing perspective they could have done that?
I think that they could have worked better at, like, they could have gotten rid of a whole fucking wedding episode. Yeah. They could have conveyed a lot of things that wasn't a wedding, that doesn't add any kind of character development or anything to the story whatsoever. Because if that whole thing didn't happen, do we look at her any differently? She's obsessed with bringing that style back to prominence. We know that. Do we know anything different now?
And their friendship up until that point was already solidified with them getting that sword. So you don't have to drive further that they're friends.
Yeah. Like, and my man beat her within the living shit of herself. That could have happened regardless of the wedding. Like, that didn't matter. She could have got injured riding her bike. Who fucking knows?
They could have just made the episode more about him and his friend.
They could have made the episode more about him and his friend, but they could have made it more about, like, these kids' lives or what the fuck is this tournament? You know what I'm saying? Like, what kind of people, or somebody who's won it from last time? Like, oh, yo, I ran into this old man. He's like, I won the first go out of high school tournament, and now I'm, this or whatever. Like, it could be anything. True. But it wasn't. They decided to throw in some sexism just for fun. So my score for this is Rob's actually is 5,000. This is definitely a see me after class kind of thing where I'm just like, we're throwing hands. Yeah, like, we're throwing hands. I get it, but you're not even throwing hands on the level of the mini episode we did last week. You know what I'm saying? Where, like, we saw, like, those are some hands being thrown.
True.
Like, those are hands.
True.
Baki is some hands. This is like, okay, yeah, we fighting, but these ain't hands.
I don't know about Baki. Well, yeah, certain
what are you
parts.
Talking about? We
certain
reference an ass whooping from Baki in every single episode almost because it was so bad. Like Baki threw hands and literally nothing else.
I always think Baki like him. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Every time I hear Baki, I think of him.
Baki,
But
It's
yeah,
Hanamura, man. Hanamura.
Exactly.
Hanamura was a monster,
with the
bro.
loaf,
some of
with
our
the
favorite
loafers,
fights.
yeah.
Some of our favorite fights we've seen in anything happen in Baki.
True.
And some of the worst story and world building we've seen in anything happen in Baki. My point being is that this show is mediocre or below average in all aspects. And so thus far, I'm not impressed. See me after class. There's potential here. I want more.
What's the score?
I said 5,000.
You said 5,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel goddamn. When have I ever been this high?
I'm higher than Brendan on the first. I mean, I don't agree with Brendan with whole world building. I don't think you. I don't judge a show off world building in the first 4 episodes.
Yeah, for you, everything's about hands. I feel like we've known that for a long time.
No, it's not about that at all. It's just I think it's completely ridiculous to be like, all right, world building has to be done in 4 episodes.
That's
It doesn't
why
have to
I
be
asked
done.
him
It has
that.
to be
That's why-
started.
that's
They didn't even
stupid.
start building
That's
the world. What world
started
are they
building-
building?
they did start
What is
building
it?
the world
Describe it to
somewhat.
me. Describe it to me.
They start building a world of what this tournament is, and then you start to get an
What's the
understanding
tournament?
about
What's the tournament?
It's clearly a fucking tournament between a high school.
I'll wait.
For me, what I see,
Take a
the
breath.
tournament is- it's
Take
clear-
a breath. Take a breath.
For me,
Describe
the tournament. For me, what the tournament seems like, if we're that we're learning, is clearly on some like, all right, we're trying to find a hidden jewel in this tournament somewhere, and it's clearly some shaky shit. It's clearly some dirty shit. But at the end of the day, I still don't judge all 4 episodes of world building. So it doesn't matter what you're saying right now. I don't think you judge all 4 episodes of world building. I mean,
4 episodes. And 4 episodes of Demon Slayer.
And I was just about to ask that because that's why I asked him, like, what can you properly convey a world in 4 episodes?
But things you can partially convey a part of a world that makes sense. So we have sense of space. Like we don't have that here because we don't even like the only thing they tried to build is a tournament, and we don't even know what the fuck the tournament is. Like all we know is these kids are pulling up to throw hands. That's literally all we know.
But I see you said that, and you said a little bit about character development and stuff like that.
So there's backstory to those kids that are showing to throw hands. Once again,
so do you feel the 5 heel elements? Did they convey a world in that? In 3 episodes,
they talked about the 5 elemental things. They said that this is the whole world, and here's how it was built. Here's this other demon world that is on this other. Like they said, here's the context to why these motherfuckers are fighting. They literally spelled out an entire world. And they didn't say every detail to it, but they said, here's this world. Here's how this world works. Here's why this is important. And here's what's happening. In this show, they were like, here's this tournament. Fight.
And to your point, Brendan, the 3rd episode was only 17 minutes long.
So all I'm saying is like, they had a lot of space to be able to give us context. When I say world building, I mean context. You don't have to build a whole fucking world in 4 episodes, but you need to give us context to why we're watching the things we're watching. And if you could please help me, Keenan, I'm confused.
No, I mean, I don't disagree with that. It seemed like you were saying they needed to build a world in 4 episodes, and given context, it's different.
Any part of a world, yeah. But I say world building, not building a world.
I personally believe still, I normally you can still give that particular thing 8 episodes normally. And after 8 episodes, if you give me nothing, I'm going to say, all right, what the fuck is going on? So I don't put too much judgment. That doesn't necessarily affect my score too bad.
Unless if there's action, your score is good,
we have
bro.
different points of view, which makes us the greatest fucking anime podcast in the entire world. That is why, right here. That is why you guys listen.
No,
twice.
So, he said it twice. I mean, me personally, the action in the hands, I feel like the fighting was fun. I enjoyed the comedy a lot in this show.
The comedy was fun. The comedy was good.
It does have some.
The comedy in this show was probably some of the best that I've seen, probably since Kill la Kill, I guess, in the sense of like what made me laugh.
Mob Psycho, yeah.
Mob Psycho is still the funniest.
Funniest anime, hands down.
But I feel like Mob Psycho was more like a lot of pettiness. I feel like this had me like laughing out loud and just being like, I like the physical comedy aspect of it. Mm-hmm. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. I'm not gonna sit there and say this is the greatest that I've seen in the first 4 episodes. I had a lot of fun. I felt like it left me on somewhat cliffhangers to get to the next episodes.
You mean left you on red? That's what this whole show feels like. It left you on red.
Well, but that's what I like. The
it's
fact
like,
that
what are we?
Like, huh?
It's like, what are we?
What are we? What are we, huh?
Yo, that was funny. But funny.
Like, I feel like I like that. I like the fact that episode 4 ended with pretty much how it ended. And it was kind of just like, all right, now these two got to get about it. So now I know I at least want to watch episode 5 and or 6 because they got to battle this shit out now. And I'm pretty sure he's gonna take some anger out on this dude for 1, his friend dying, and 2, Jen, he gonna fight hard because he's just like, bro, you went too hard on my girl, man. That's fucking ridiculous. I like the character design. To be honest with you, I think it is bad, but now I just look at it like it's hilarious. This motherfucker is beating people's ass. He's beating people's ass in work clothes. Like he just got off working an 8-hour shift. And just
that boy looking like Agent 47. Like,
bro, anybody get off an 8-hour shift and willing to go fight? That nigga got hands, bro. I don't want no smoke with him. He got hands. So
he got that Carson outfit.
Yeah, so
he's got that farm strength from all that work, lifting those crates and barrels and shit.
Yeah, it was to me that's fun, and I feel like I do feel like this is just a different type of character design. We're so used to getting that's clearly like the way they're dressed, the type of guy, and they didn't make it flashy, which I think is like, all right, it's cool. Maybe they get costumes later on. I don't know. Maybe they do.
They gave my man, the main character, a t-shirt and some cargo shorts.
And they said, okay, let's do
Even
Goku
do something special with his eyes. Let's just make his eyes.
Like the fuck I'm guessing those eyes, those crosses mean something. I'm hoping they're important for some reason.
They better. I'm gonna be pissed.
So what I hate about it too, that's what I liked about it. I guess what I didn't like about it was I agree. The wedding episode, I think what they maybe were trying to explain was just like, look, this sword is very, very important, that this kid he's willing to marry an underage woman to get the powers of the sword that even would challenge God. So clearly, this shit is very important. I think they just executed it poorly. So I will agree with that. But I think there was something that they were trying to do, and they just executed it poorly, to be honest.
And honestly, I don't think Park Nugent is a bad dude. I don't think he's a villain. He doesn't give me villain vibes.
They gave him fucking devil horns on his hair. I don't know. Man.
I'm not sure. They haven't introduced him as clearly he's the antagonist. But I don't know if he is like this super villainous person. We're gonna see. Maybe he has something to do with his family. This dude's family probably either dying type of way or whatever. They have a rivalry with their the Tiger Cup thing is whatever it is. So for me personally, I didn't have too much of an issue with it. I gave it 6,900, 7,000. Like I'll say solid 7,000. So not too crazy, not too great, not too bad. It has room to grow. Like I said, I watched the next, I think, 2 episodes. I talked to Brennan about it already when he first watched it. So I hope, I just, we'll see what happens. So solid 7,000 across the board. Not too heavy. Very surprised about ISIS being 6,500 or whatever he said.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised too.
Do you want to amend that score, Ice? Are you good?
No,
I still like giving anything above a 6. So,
I think it was cool. It was just to Rob's point about the influences. I think that's why I liked it so much, because it's very Naruto like, and I fuck with Naruto. And that's probably why. Just from a nostalgia point. And nostalgia,
I'm probably gonna watch Naruto at some point.
You need to. I'll give you the episode filler list to make it a lot shorter for you.
The fact that Brennan's actually breaking down with that. But now I'm interested because I guess I can't even say that. But yeah, anyways, let us know what y'all think in the comment section. What did y'all score the first 4 episodes out of a 9,000 of the God of High School? We will continue this episodes 5 through 8 next week. Make sure you always answer all the questions in the comment section. Go ahead and drop your stuff, guys. Go ahead, Ice.
Ice.McGowan on everything.
Rob.
Yeah, RV Danger on Instagram.
Brennan.
At Mr. Producer Face on the gram.
And make sure you send him some make it clap emojis or whatever.
Rob had his tongue out.
They don't even know what that means, just for the record. Y'all,
if they watch it, they do.
That never makes it in the episode, fam.
Oh, it doesn't, huh?
No.
Yeah.
I think we've mentioned it before, though.
But we did.
I think
we
talked
remember
about
he said
it.
he was ass out twerking the time that he was twerking with his ass out on the screen.
Yeah, I feel like we definitely.
That's right.
Yeah, I was hoping. Yeah, that's right. Could you go ahead and upload that video to anywhere ever, Ice? I'd love for you to do that.
I'll have to search through my files.
You can just go ahead and upload that. I would love that.
That wasn't me. That was Keenan. That wasn't me. That was Keenan doing that. That you said that he was ass out twerking on the chair before we started.
I probably did. I've been saying a lot of crazy shit on here, man.
That's true.
But make sure y'all follow the Animeshun podcast, SHUN podcast on all platforms. Cash App us, so we can get some more content going. Show us some love. We put out content for y'all every week. We're going to have some extra content coming for y'all very, 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 very soon. Kathy on Keenan Baker on everything. And we thank y'all for tuning in every week, and thank y'all for tuning in to another episode Animeshun. We out.
And so anime was solved forever.